We have a great panel. Omar, we have great things to discuss. Thank you so much for moderating, for hosting this Fight for Life show. And there you are. Please go ahead.
All right, guys. Thanks everybody for being here. T-Rex, what up? I see you. And so, but what we want to do, because I want to keep this tight, because we have so much to cover. Right now, we're living in historic times. This is an incredible moment. And me personally, in my 4 decades on the planet, I've never actually felt it feel like this in the United States. It actually feels like change to me. And this change oftentimes is a difficult and ugly process. I tell people all the time, like, I had to lose weight for a movie once. And if you're going to lose weight, you got to be hungry. And unfortunately, there's a lot of growing pains that are going to have to happen for us to be what we want to be as a country, as opposed to what we say we are and not living up to it. So one of the reasons I wanted to be involved today is because I think we have an awesome opportunity to speak to 2 people who have the potential to be the face of boxing for the next 10 years, and 2 people who were the face of boxing for a very long time as well. And what I want to do is just to tee you guys up to be able to have a conversation and jump in and jump out about those experiences. So I have a couple small questions, but you know, take it and run with it. I want to start with something that to me is very important. And both of you guys are young, so you probably can't remember it, but there was a massive fight. I don't know if you ever watched it. There was a massive fight between Gerry Cooney and Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes, who arguably has the greatest jab in boxing history, was on the middle of an insane championship defense run. Gerry Cooney was a monster, big pop, and these are when the heavyweights were the heavyweights. But the reason I want to talk today is not about boxing, not about who's the best and this, that, and the other, but about sport in the context of race. Because that fight, which at the time had the largest live gate in history, that fight was framed in the context of race. So what I just want to start with the older fellas, I want to talk to you guys. I want to give you guys an opportunity to speak about how that framing of race influenced society, because I remember being a little boy and in the household, it was framed as the great white hope against the black champion. Kind of like what we just saw with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. So I want to speak about race in the context of that, and then I'm going to move on with you guys, Claressa and Ryan.
Well, I want a rematch.
You and me both, Larry.
I made a lot of money when I fought Gerry, and I didn't care nothing about the race. They try to put the race out there because, you know, most of the people out there was white, and the audience was white. But they tried to put it like I was a racist, but I couldn't be racist, but half of my family is white. But my brothers married white guys. I mean, black guys. What? White what? They married white girls. I'm sorry. I'm crazy.
You guys were really progressive in the 80s.
Yeah, we were. Well, I wasn't in it. I had a black woman and a black wife, and I still got her. And that's going on 40 years of me being married. So, you know, that I get a pat on the back for that, because those people that can't stand it to be married that long. But I've been married to the same woman for 40 years. And it's been a great relationship I have.
Listen, this 1982 Larry Holmes, Gerry Cooney, it was built as the Great White Hope, and it was a black-white thing. Meanwhile, I'm this young kid from Long Island. I'm in Las Vegas having a great time. I'm going to fight the heavyweight championship of the world. I'm not thinking about race back and forth. Larry and I both were not doing that, though I thought he was, and he probably thought I was. And I think the promoters that were promoting it were the actual racists. They were kind of create money through anger and pain. I mean, he got his, I think you had your mailbox blown up, Larry. I was getting mail from the Ku Klux Klan. It was a nightmare. And I want to just say real quick that my wife did a test, and I found out that my grandfather's mother was African-American, so it was a lie. I was never the white hope.
Well, see, that's something that I like to cover, because I'm sure you guys saw in the news yesterday, Drew Brees is catching a lot of flack because he seems like he's actively choosing to be on the wrong side of the discussion, even after the country has erupted. And one thing I want to talk to you guys now, Claressa and Rye, I want to talk to you guys about activism in the position that you're in. When Gerry and Larry were fighting, it was a situation, one, obviously social media didn't exist, but there was also a large contingent of athletes who wanted to not rock the boat and stay in their lane. Now, you guys both have a formidable digital following. You obviously have influence over people. What is it, do you think, the position of athletes and of boxers in particular when it comes to their activism about issues that they care about, like we're dealing with now with the overall theme of Black Lives Matter and with the overall situation in the state of the country? I want to go ladies first. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay. Well, just for me, just being an activist, being outspoken, standing up for something that's bigger than yourself, I think that athletes have a really tough position. We have so many different fans of all different kind of cultures and all different kind of backgrounds. And you say one thing and people sometimes take it and run with it. You may not, mean it, but like we pay attention to our sport. We're really not into the whole what's actually going on. So when I heard Drew Brees speak about how he felt about, people who are out there protesting our animals and they're disrespecting the flag or whatever the case may be, I thought to myself, he doesn't really know or like understand what it is that people are protesting about. Yeah, I don't agree with the looting and I don't agree with the riots, but I'm 100% for the protest. Why? Because people start to listen, and the way that George Floyd was killed by those 4 police officers really did shake the world up, and it brought attention that there are more things like this that happen that don't get the media attention. And I felt like, Drew Brees, I don't think he's a bad guy. I think that he just didn't fully understand that right now is not the time to, it's not even to pick sides, it's more to stand with humanity. Stand up for, Black people, stand up for equality. If everybody really feels that this world should be equal and everything should be fair, nobody should have a problem with Black people demanding that we get treated just as whites or anybody else in this country. And I think that Drew Brees he overlooked it, and he just kind of thought about the bad things that happens when people protest, like the riots and the looting. He didn't really think about the Martin Luther King standpoint of it. And I think that when he responded, I don't think he really understands that the kneeling that Colin Kaepernick was doing, it was for, the injustice of Black people. Like, we're not against white people. We're not against any race. We just want to be treated better. And I think that the last thing he probably heard about it was that the NFL had banned it, said if you kneel, you're going to get fined. And that's probably where his mind was. But I don't think he's fully informed on what it is that we're protesting about and why it's important. So I don't want to give him too much fire, but I think you just need to get a better understanding of that everybody should be treated equally, no matter what color you are.
Well, you know what? I tell you what, you just said a mouthful. He didn't understand that. It's not because he's Black or he's white or whatever. It's because that's what he does. And he just took it out of the wrong context and says, I'm gonna say it ain't about the National Anthony or whatever. It's about you, what you're doing, what example you setting for the kids, the young people that's following you. Mm-hmm. And that's the only thing that made me mad when I heard it.
Now, Rye, I want to take it to you. You have one of the largest followings in boxing, despite being a very young man and really just getting started in your career. Now, you see, with The Last Dance that comes out, and everybody watched the Michael Jordan documentary, and you see the flack that Michael Jordan has taken now for his lack of stance then. Right. You see how LeBron James is, one of the most socially active and woke athletes of all time. And his efforts with opening schools and so on and so forth, it's undeniable. That his record there is impeccable. You have the potential, you're positioned and you have the potential to be a superstar. Both of you guys do. Now, Rye, what do you want to say to the people, and why? I just have one last thing. It's a compound question. Why do you think that in your age group, this particular event and this particular public murder of George Floyd, with Breonna Taylor being also killed in her own home, and with Ahmaud Arbery being hunted and killed while taking a jog, which all the boxers know about, why do you think it is? Now, this is, just like Claressa said, this isn't the first time this happens. In the community, we know this happens all the time. It's the cell phone that made it, pop off. What is it, do you think, about your age group that made you guys take the streets? Because you guys are out there making it happen right now.
I think that, well, I'm going to take it back to when I was younger, growing up where I grew up, walking with, where I grew up, it was Black and Mexican, you know what I mean? So as we're growing up, we're already judged and already seen as a bad kid, and I've also experienced racism in that way, and also my Black friends have, and we kind of united together in that way. And once you get out, there's still kids in the hood that don't have a voice. So I think that us celebrities now, the Blacks, the Mexicans that get out there, we need to be the voice for them back in the community, because they don't got a voice somewhere. We had to fight to get out of there. You understand what I'm saying? So now I definitely wanted to educate myself before I even spoke on this matter, because I'm not going to disrespect nobody and hurt nobody's feelings. I want equality for everybody. So when I did see what I seen, it was bigger than me. So I had to be like, you know what, let me take an approach where let me educate myself, let me understand the situation better. And now that I can speak on it better. And now I know what that kneeling was about. I know what everything is going on is about. So now I'm like, okay, I'm with that, because it's about taking that knee was about getting equality for everybody. We're the land of the free. You know what I mean? But if not everybody's free, then are we all free? It's not. It's about that. So I'm here now. Now I'm ready to go. I got the knowledge. So now I'm really ready to make a stand. But before, people were trying to force me to say something. And I'm like, yo, not yet, because I'm not about to. I don't want to disrespect anybody. So now, I'm here, and I want equality for everybody. I don't want anybody to be judged because they're wearing a hoodie. Whether you're a Black Mexican, you really, like, we're walking in the community, and then the cops are gonna come at us because we're just Black and Mexican wearing a hoodie. It's crazy. It's just wild to me. And right there, it's a system problem. The system thinks that us kids are bad kids because we're Black or Mexican. You know what I mean? Because we're a minority. And we're wearing hoodies. You know what I mean? So that right there is a problem in itself. And I think that's what the NIL was about. And that's what I'm about. I'm about equality for everybody, land of the free. We're supposed to be free. So it's time that happens for everybody. And I'm with it. I'm with it right now.
Man, that's
Thanks
awesome.
for standing with us, Ryan.
No, yeah, 100%. 100%. And you know what? You have influence over a great deal of individuals who want to help and who also want to be educated about what's going down. I spent the majority of the last 10 days educating my Caucasian brothers and sisters about situations that are taking place within the culture that they somehow or another weren't aware of. I want to be the person that advocates, hey, there's nothing wrong with being ignorant, but staying ignorant is a problem. So you have to, accountability really is the word of the day now. So if you hear somebody talking reckless in your presence, or if they're just plainly misinformed, you have to be educated first so that you can educate them. I want to pass it over to Gerry. Gerry, you've had a great success outside of the ring. And now with where you are in life, time-wise, age-wise, what's your perspective on people taking to the streets and what it is that's going on?
Well, I mean, I understand the fight. I understand the frustration. I don't understand it all. We need to be educated. I mean, I think there's got to be, the police department has to be held accountable with body cams, with, oversight committees to see what's going on. And if there's a physicality, it's got to be looked at right away. And listen, I think that people love each other. We all love each other. I mean, I love Larry Holmes. We've been in a war together. We didn't love each other for a long time, but we got together and we realized that we were two guys fighting. That's why sports is so good during times of war and trouble, because people get in the ring and they turn it on. It's not about anything else but ability. And unfortunately for me that night, Larry got me in the 13th round. But listen, it's I'm grateful to be on with you guys here today. I love everybody. I try and help everybody in my life every day in my life. And that life is way too short. I mean, it's going way too fast. I mean, I see these young kids, Claressa and uh, and Ryan, greatest athletes you want to see fight, and time goes fast. It passes fast. I mean, you said 30 years. Mauricio said that Larry Holmes and I fought. That was 38 years ago, just like that. It went in a second, and I'm so glad I can still remember that. Are you, Larry?
I remember everything, Jerry. I never got hit with those punches that you got hit with.
There you go. So listen, it's a fight. We're in a fight. We got to understand. We got to work together, and it's a difficult problem. I talk to my kids, and my kids, try and understand that, until we understand. I can't remember how you phrased it, but it's been a big problem through history for African Americans, and we got to change that.
It's one thing about it, when we go, we all going to the same place.
Yeah.
And from there, we don't know where we at. We got to try to make the best we can make while we're here on Earth. And the people who try to shorten that up, they can't shorten it up because God got control of everything. And that's what I'm looking at. That's what I look at. I'm 70 years old. I never thought I would be 70 when I was young, because I was out there. I was crazy, but crazy kid. But hey, I grew out of it, man. I got a family, got kids, and they can't talk stuff about it. Half of my family's white. So when they said that when I was going to fight you, and they were saying, you racist, Larry, I said, well, how's that? Half of my family is white. So how can I not like my family?
Well, Larry, I got to tell you something. When you and I got in the ring that night, there was a lot of, we didn't want that crazy about it. All I wanted to do was hit you with one left hook. And when we got in the center of the ring that day, and Mills Lane was giving us instructions, and you looked at me and said, Jerry, let's have a good fight. Wow, that was the answer right there. That's what athletes do. That's what people are supposed to do. And that's what we have to get back to.
Now,
I agree, Jerry. I agree with that.
Now, Claressa, you are an Olympic champion 2 times over. Tell me this: boxing is such an international sport, and this is for you too, right? First of all, I want to give big respect and a shout out to Canelo Alvarez, because he's one of the first boxers that I saw that was not black to speak up about the inhumanity that he watched on tape with George Floyd, with the rest of us. And I think every athlete that's willing to speak out, especially somebody that's on the level that he's on, deserves recognition. But in that theme of it being international, you've traveled the world fighting on behalf of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a real big travel guy. Obviously, with the coronavirus and X, Y, and Z, nobody's going anywhere. We're all stuck. We're all wearing masks and so on and so forth. But I like to have the faith and believe that eventually we'll be able to get back out in the world. What did travel and international exposure make you think about coming back home? Because there's a lot of historical precedent for athletes, writers, entertainers, for people of color, and primarily Black people, who've gone over the world and see race relations and then come home, and it makes them put a different lens on things and rethink things here in the United States.
Well, I can only speak on being from Flint, Michigan. And, growing up, it wasn't a lot of hope in my city. It wasn't like people that grew up in Flint, we really don't see the outside. You know what I mean? We don't know that the world is bigger than what Flint is. And Flint is a place populated with maybe 250,000 people. A lot of poverty, a lot of gun violence. Right now Flint has been without clean water for I think 7 years. Just poverty in the schools and everything. And it's like the only thing that was good for me was boxing. And boxing is something that I fell in love with, and that's how I've been able to travel the world. But as I traveled the world and even just to other states around the United States, I see the difference in how my neighborhood was treated and how other neighborhoods was treated. And that's what's more used to hurt my feelings, because where I grew up at, people kind of get on me about how I talk, but where I'm from, everybody is hardcore. Everybody talk trash. Everybody know how to fight. And, growing up, I got bullied and everything. So when it comes to defending myself, that's why I'm so outspoken, and I'm like standing up for myself and other people, and know all about bullying because I experienced it. But as I went to other, different countries, I seen how we're celebrated. Black people are celebrated when you go to China. Like everybody, when I went over there, like they were calling me Serena Williams. They were calling me Beyonce. And every time they see me, they walk up and touch my skin. And it was more like they really liked to see us and they were intrigued by us. And even when I went to Kazakhstan and I fought the world championships, and I mean, like, those people really like, oh my God, we're seeing somebody of a different color from America in our country. And they think that everybody from America basically is rich and famous and some kind of celebrity or star. So to go over there and see how we were treated and then to come home and, see that all this police brutality and just like my neighborhood, I always tried to implement change and tried to let people who I grew up with know, like, yo, the world is really pretty when you step outside of Flint. Like, you can leave Flint physically, but mentally is the thing that people are stuck in. They're stuck there mentally, like, oh, food stamps, welfare, bad schooling, your family members being murdered, black on black crime, poverty. That's stuck in their mind because they dealt with it for so many years. At the age of 11 is the first time I actually traveled outside the state of Michigan to Ohio to get my first fight. And I've been able to meet just so many people and just learn off of different people and see different things, like see clean water at the beach. Go somewhere where there's a lot of black people, but there's no violence. And I think that it's more of getting the people to understand who are here in Flint, who grew up going through so many tragedies, to understand that the world is so much bigger than this. It's not all about whatever you think it's about. It's not all about being negative and fighting and, gun violence and going to jail. Like, the world is really great, but, it's just so hard to make it out when you're from cities like Flint and Detroit and Chicago, Illinois. It's so hard to make it out. And I just want to make it to where our communities are better, where it's like it shouldn't be a miracle that I made it out of Flint. It should be that anybody that want to make it should be able to make it. And it really shouldn't be so hard. But the fact that it is, I just want to add some change to that and do as much as I can. But the world is a beautiful place for those who aren't stuck somewhere mentally.
Right, which is tough, because if that's all you know, that's all you know. And somebody has to expose you to something else. And in your situation, thank God you had boxing to expose you to something else. It's like Ryan was talking about. He was in a situation, stepped out of a situation, and yet he still wants to advocate and speak for the people who are still in the tough spot. Now, Ryan, I got a quick question for you. You said that one thing that you wanted to do is make sure that you were educated and ready to go before you got out there talking reckless, which I think is very responsible of you. What did you do to get educated? And what do you suggest others do in your age group or in general? I see quite a few videos of people, especially my Caucasian brothers and sisters, where they secretly record talking to their parents, and their parents are on a totally different page than they're on, So what do you suggest that people do?
I mean, I say that you can't control nobody else, but you can control yourself. You know what I mean? You can't, if people have their ways, all you can do is educate them. So my approach on it is, one, you have to first go in and see how you can help, how you can actually help. You know what I mean? And I've donated to organizations that, have been doing this for years, not just now, for years, and been an advocate for Black lives against police brutality. So as I've done that, I'll put down the links and everything when it's time, but you could do that. You could also protest peacefully, and I'm all about that, protesting peacefully.
Agreed.
Of course, looting and that is wrong, and I'm not with that either, because it's small businesses are the ones that are from the hood. They came and they created a small business. You don't want to destroy, what we worked hard for. You know what I mean? So definitely not with that, but peacefully protesting, educating yourself, and talking, having a conversation. That's what really it is about, having a conversation with everyone and talking to everybody about, this is not right. This needs to be stopped. And if they have their views on it, listen, but also make sure that they know that racism is not right. There is no way, there's no way around it. Everybody wants to say their point. There's no point. There's no point to racism. There's no point to the police brutality. You have no. So if you're trying to, defend it in any way, or I'm not on your side. You understand what I'm saying? And that's me, though. Like I don't want to hear it. Like you sound. It is ignorant to think like that.
Very.
Wow.
Very ignorant.
Is trying to find a way to justify it. I had somebody ask me, but what did George Floyd do? What do you mean with the George? So he deserved to have his knee, for 8 minutes. 8 minutes. He's already restrained. You're gonna tell me there's a reason for it? You crazy?
There's no justification. There's no way to justify that. There's no way you can.
Let's all make a real change. Let's protest. Let's get louder. Let's get louder, as in peacefully. Let's get louder all together and, donate where we have to donate. Shit. I mean, I said shit, but some people got, a lot of money. Some people don't. But $5 goes a long way when there's 50,000 people doing it. You know what I mean? So we all gotta, put it in our part, and that's what I'm about to start doing. Now that I know, and once I know, I can take it as far as I want. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
And I just think that people too, like, need to know, like, protesting is a great thing, but once the attention and you have the government attention, you have the world attention. Now that you have the attention, people shouldn't just keep yelling Black Lives Matter. Okay, Black Lives Matter. Now let's get organized. And what do y'all want to tell them? What do y'all want to happen? Now we have to speak in action form. Like I seen a lady say that we need to go into legislation and up into the Constitution and put, that no police can use excessive force against anybody, and then give them a penalty for, like, if you do this, it's 5 years. Because when you have somebody restrained, you have somebody in cuffs, there's nothing more you need to do. Nothing more you need to do.
I'm with you. Certain things you can't get wrong in life. There are a lot of mistakes that we can make and then we can correct. Certain things you can't get wrong. When you take somebody's life, there ain't no coming back from that. You can't get wrong putting your knee on somebody that can kill somebody, beating somebody up. I just watched a video in Indianapolis where the police are trying to restrain a protester, and it's a woman, and it's a Black woman, and the guy cops a feel on her breast so that she moves away, and then they literally just beat her down to the ground where she was actually just responding to his inappropriate behavior. I personally, myself, there has to be a tie-in monetarily. The police union should pay, in my opinion, for all of these lawsuits that are paid. I'm here in LA, Ryan, I want to address something you said. Small businesses do get hurt in the looting and the rioting. My family had businesses in South Central Los Angeles my whole life, and before I was born. We lost 3/4 of our family income in the 92 LA riots. And that's clearly a Black-owned business. But all that being said, we can get stuff back. You can get money back. When you start talking about people dying, you can't get that back. I've seen pictures of police who, we have to really keep this in context. The authority of immunity and violence with impunity is being challenged from the public to the police. The police, in a lot of ways, have responded with more violence against people who are just doing the protesting, which is just mind-blowing if you think about it.
Yeah, Omar, can I just say something, Omar?
No doubt.
It's not the whole police department. It's a very small section of the
100%.
And we got to remember that. There's a lot of great police officers out there saving people, helping people, that peace officers. And those small group of people are putting a very bad name on the.
Thank you. And let me say that because I don't want it to sound like I'm just railing on one time. But just like there's a very small number of people that are doing the looting and the rioting that then in turn soils a lot of the peaceful protests that are going on. And on both sides, one thing that you've seen evolve is that the protesters are now policing the rioters and the looters. So when it first started, it jumped off and rioting and looting was rampant. Now the peaceful protesters got hip to the game of the people trying to come out and just come up, and just grifters that are just opportunists. And you've seen countless videos now of them checking those guys that are just causing chaos. The same thing.
I seen John Jones. John Jones took a spray can from a guy. He's one of my idols. He's a UFC lightweight champion. He went out there himself and he was protesting. He seen guys looting. He's like, "Give me the spray can." And the fact that he did that just shows value because that shows that he doesn't support the looting. He's for the protesting, but the looting and rioting, we're not gonna let you destroy the city of Albuquerque, the city like the city of Flint. No one should want their city destroyed to make a point, because it doesn't make a point.
It doesn't help anything. And you definitely don't want no smoke with John Jones in the streets.
For real.
just by the way.
I'm putting the can down quick.
I don't want none. Then take that can. You need $10? Take that too. Now, champ, Mr.
What
Holmes.
happened? Let me say this. See, that if I was there and as a cop, none of that would happen. Because if that cop was choking him, that cop had to fight me. I would not let this guy get away with that. And all them other guys was around him, looking at him, making jokes and laughing probably. And this guy's killing him. No, he's gonna live, he'll live another day if I was there watching this thing happen.
And this is about accountability. And this is what I'm talking about. And we, in our private conversations with one another, with our families, with so on and so forth, we have to take the accountability to when somebody, our brothers, are out of line, our brothers and sisters out of line, we have to check them. Because if I watch that, I'm an accomplice to it. Just like Larry was just saying. And we can't participate in that way. Now, one thing I want to throw to you, Larry, is what do you see as different from being a champion in the 70s and 80s as far as the public goes, as far as your experience with the public? What do you think is different where we are in the country for race relations? Do you feel like change is afoot, or do you think this is another moment that will fade?
This moment will fade, but it's another moment that's here. It's what's here is here, and what people seeing, it's gonna happen again and again and again, because you gonna always have somebody on the white side is discriminating, that don't like you, that don't like me, or like black people, period. Just if they wouldn't like me because I got about 4 or 5 brothers married white women. So they probably won't like that. I got little nieces and nephews running around my yard, And people probably look at me funny because today I walked down my driveway and a couple of people were there from the station that I work with. And they got to act. I said, look, I don't feel like talking about it, because if I talk about it, I'm going to get mad. So I walked away from them.
Also, I want to just say that too, is that we also as athletes have a responsibility to promote goodness, to promote the right thing, to like you're talking about. We have a responsibility to that. And I take that responsibility very big. And I've been doing charities most of my life, as Larry has. And I'm sure Claressa and Ryan have, but we have that responsibility, and I love that responsibility.
One thing I want to mention, and one thing you talked about, Ryan, about people donating their time, donating their money, donating their mental space to just become educated. One thing I want to add and make sure that it's not lost for anybody that's watching, because it's imperative, Claressa mentioned it, that we vote. Young people determine the future. I can't get this out enough. Older people are going to vote. Older people are going to
vote for Donald Trump. Get it straight. Let them know who to vote for.
No, listen. I'm. Everybody knows I'm as anti-MAGA as they get. I am all Black Lives Matter all day long. I am anti-fascism. This guy's using tear gas against peaceful protesters, Americans. The phony moral high ground that he's claiming is completely false on every level. Now, but my point is that young people, and this is what I challenge you, Claressa, and what I challenge you, Ryan, to do. We are in June. We're in early June. The elections are taking place in November. And not just national elections. The elections that are taking place where you really change stuff is through changing legislation on a local level. What you have to do is you have to speak to your councilman. You have to speak to the mayor. And these people are available to you. So I just want to put that out so that people can keep that in mind of how important it is to not just march, because the marching is beautiful, but it's the first step. When you guys train the box, you can't just go run miles. You have to actually put in work and learn how to box.
I worked with Donald Trump down in AC Atlantic City, and he was just here 2 weeks ago in Easton Allentown, that's from Pennsylvania. And that's only like 5 miles from me. And he asked me to come up there to be on the stand. I said, I would not come up there to be on the stand. But I'm gonna come up there and be on the stand. Okay, he announced me Larry Holmes was here and everything because I watched it on TV. I was not there. I would not support him. And I don't care what nobody said because he look at you like you're nothing. He treat you like you're nothing. I know him. And that's the way he'd do everybody, man. That's the way he would do everybody.
It's an active form of protest.
So Big O.
T-Rex?
So my question for you is, so people in my community, because we've been talking about voting, and I'm going to play an active role, and like I think I may get a bus and take everybody to look. We're going to get registered to vote. We're going to go and vote. Just make sure that the Black communities are involved because they have so many excuses to why they don't want to be involved, or I don't have a car, I don't have this. So I'm trying to get those excuses out the way right now. But my question for you is, when it comes between voting for Joe Biden, right, who is was a part of the KKK somehow, maybe at the age of 20, 25, he was a part of it, or he was close friends with those guys, and then, you know, possibly having Trump in office again. A lot of Black people are kind of confused on who to vote for because, to me, I'm like, let's just get Trump out of office. It doesn't matter who else is in there. Let's just get Trump out of office. But for a lot of Black people, they're like, our voice doesn't really matter because either way, we're getting the short end of the stick, even though Joe Biden was, you know, the vice president to Obama. So what is something that I could tell the African-American community, like, look, this is why we should vote for Joe Biden, even though he has this, you know, kind of weird background?
First and foremost, I hear you and I agree with what you're saying. I don't think that there is a worse option than Donald Trump on the planet. I will vote for that lamp that's behind Ryan Garcia right now before I will vote for Donald Trump. I personally, this is me personally. Every single thing, lamp from 2020, whatever. For me, what we're seeing now is a compilation and the culmination of almost 4 years of racism, of banning Muslims to come into the country, of trying to marginalize every immigrant that comes in, unless they come from Europe, and trying to do every single thing that you can do to run people of color down, all through the guise of this false Christianity that he's practicing. And you can't roll with me because we've seen what he'll do. We've seen that. And honestly, 4 more years of that could be beyond catastrophic, in my personal opinion. Now,
agreed.
The other thing that I say is people seem to be able to change in society. And we have seen a very suspect voting record in X, Y, and Z from Joe Biden, but we've seen that from almost every politician that was around in the 80s and 90s. I believe change is afoot now. And I think that we're loud and our voices are loud, and there are more people of color, and not just the president. This is why I can't stress this enough. This isn't just the president that you have to vote for. Just like how Ryan was talking about, you have to educate yourself and vote for local leaders that are gonna fix the water in Flint. This is on the local leaders. You have to educate yourself and vote. To me, like I said, there is no option to vote for Donald Trump. It is a catastrophe. He has openly and blatantly been racist. And I don't care what anybody says. You can't convince me otherwise. And this whole what do you have to lose thing, well, we're seeing what we have to lose. We can lose our lives at the hands of the police. And this individual has the nerve to then in turn talk about unleashing the military on American citizens. This is so far beyond unacceptable. And I'm just happy now that some of these cowards in Congress and in the Senate are now starting to speak out and say what they really feel and not just what they think is the PC answer.
They've been seeing it. They've been seeing that a long time. They just haven't want to react from that. They don't know when to act. They've been seeing it and seeing this happen. Donald Trump has been Donald Trump for years, and they know it in the casinos everywhere else. When I fought down there in Atlantic City, hey, he's been Donald Trump. He don't pull no punches. He'll tell you like it is.
Right, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna have a question, like, because where I see everywhere, you know, that there's just no chance that he can get into office, right? But then you see his support come in, it's like I don't understand where that support is coming from. Because where I see is like everybody is anti-Trump, which I am too, because he blatantly promoted racism and then he tried to defend it every which way he can. So to me, that's just, he's already dismissed. But what I don't get is we all as a people, we all are agreeing on the same thing, yet there's still a chance that he can get into office. Where are, I'm trying to find where those people are. You know what I mean? Where their minds are at, because I don't understand. Everywhere I look, the celebrities are saying it. Everybody in the world is saying it, which what I'm seeing. You know what I mean?
You got to take one at a time and get rid of one at a time. Easy. And then it's not gonna come real easy because we got some brothers out there that think like, for instance, Don King. Don King, my man, for 10 years that I worked for him, I boxed for him. For 10 years, he loves Donald Trump. And I told him, Don, stay the hell away from him because he's a racist. He is not. He's not. But he is. Stay away from him.
Is it what do you think? Would you say that they're motivated by money or instead of morals?
It can't be money. Don King got a handful of money. Donald Trump is loaded. Can't be money.
Well, but this is what I think.
Ryan,
Let me grab this one. Let me grab this one.
go ahead.
All of Donald Trump's followers and policies are rooted in some sort of supremacy.
Yes, agreed. That's where I'm going. Supremacy.
It is rooted in something so that you can look down on someone, so that you can say that group is lower than me.
Yeah.
They are rapists. They are criminals.
Yes.
It's always they versus us. It's always some sort of division. There's never a unity message ever, because if you support him, your support is based on the identity that you have of some sort of supremacy. And it's insecure, it's weak. It's like the person who talks big all the time. Then you know that they're scared inside. That's what it is. And times are changing. And if everybody, this is what Gerry was saying, this is why sport is beautiful. And this is why boxing in particular is beautiful. Because when you get in that ring, not your coaches, not nobody else can catch or throw them hands. Nobody else is in there but you. And that playing field is supposed to be level.
And it shows who you really are. And no matter what, you can't lie. You can't say, I've been training, and then you get in there, you're gonna see if you've been training. You know what I mean?
You're gonna see.
That's the thing I love about boxing, because it keeps everything honest. There's no way you're gonna get, there's no way you could lie yourself to a W. You know what I mean? You gotta put in the work, So that's something I love about boxing personally. You're gonna see.
And this is what we're seeing on the streets of America. As usual, sports mirror society, And in society, the people are out. On any given day, I would say there's 5 million people that have been on the streets the last 7 days. That is a lot of people to take the time to go outside and speak about something. And to me, the most heartening part of this whole situation has been the diversity of the protest. The reason I think change is happening is because I have never, ever, ever in life seen there have been protests. The protests in Newport Beach yesterday, there wasn't hardly no black people out there. Where the black people are the minority.
You know what?
Because this is not a black or white.
You know what, Omar? You know what? You asked Larry Holmes, you asked him, do you think that this flame would just go away and we'll just have more moments like this? And he said he thinks it's going to keep happening and the flame will go away. But I'm here to tell you, when you have 50 states having protests about what happened to George Floyd and injustice of black people, you have other countries. I've seen Anthony Joshua speak out about George Floyd, and he's, to me, one of the biggest stars in boxing at this moment, even though he's from the UK. And to have Anthony Joshua, Canelo, myself, Ryan, all of us speaking out on this issue. There are protests in Australia. There are protests in the UK. There are protests in New Zealand. There are protesting all over the world for an injustice that happened here in America. I don't think that this is going away. I think that we have their attention and that we have to take advantage of having their attention, and we gotta get organized. And not just with the voting, you said the local voting, but we gotta change the minds that black people gotta understand that not only is our lives important when it comes to a white man killing a black man, our lives are important when it comes to a black man in our neighborhood in our neighborhood killing another black man. Black on black crime needs to be stopped just as much as this injustice against African Americans by white cops. We can't look at one being better than the other. We really have to change our neighborhoods to where it's safe to be black. We need to make it to where it's easier to grow up, where it's easier to not go through as much poverty, where we can look on the bright side of things. Because when you have angry people, uneducated people, people who are not, just don't even see the world as this beautiful place that it is, there's a lot of chaos. So we have to also change that. So it's so many things that have to be changed. But right now, I feel like this is a big change and a big step forward for us, because now the world is protesting with us, and also in America.
Yes, Claressa, I want to just say this too, guys. We need to get away from the focus on politicians and how are we going to make the changes. We're going to get webcams on the cops' head or equipment. They're going to get oversight committees. Someone that's going to actually make these changes so this doesn't keep happening 6 months from now. We need to get something in paper on the ground to make those changes. We got to stay focused on this.
Cool down a little bit, Jerry. Listen,
that's frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, they already got that. They got everything you said. I got the body cam. Matter of fact, they're having the funeral right now.
Yeah.
On CNN.
Hey, Larry, by the way, Larry, what'd you hit me with that right hand for? Larry, what'd you hit me with that right hand for in that 13th round?
For $10 million.
I love you, man.
Wow. That's a good reason. Well, guys, we're gonna wrap it up soon. I just want to open the floor.
I don't want to go. I want to talk more.
And we're gonna talk. That's what I'm saying. We're gonna wrap it up soon. But I want to give everybody a chance to say what they want to say. I think we've had a really honest conversation, and unfortunately, sometimes in some of these issues are uncomfortable, and we have to be willing to have these uncomfortable conversations with ourselves and in our family, because all of the change starts with us. We have to check our own morality. We have to check our own selves and make sure that we look out for our fellow sister and our fellow brother, regardless, because we're all humans. I think that is the message overall. And the humanity that's involved in being a human should really never allow you to witness inhumanity and stand by. So Jerry, if you want to say something on the way out, and we're going to go around the table and let everybody say something on the way out. Me personally, I really appreciate you guys being on, having an honest, frank conversation about things.
Well, Larry, stop looking at me like that. Larry, stop looking at me like that, bro. Listen, I want to just tell you guys, I'm so grateful to be on with Mauricio, Claressa, Ryan, Larry, and to be a part of this format that, listen, this is America. We got to cut this out. We have to, I'm going to say it again, Black Lives Matter. White people have to pay attention and listen and see what it's really about, the difficulties. I'm learning so much from my family. And listen, we're all great people. This is our life. This is it. There's no more do-overs. Let's get it right. Let's move. Thank you so much.
That's the thing about it. You just said it, Jerry. I'm glad you did. It doesn't matter if you're Black or you're white. It doesn't matter as long as you do the right thing. And I'm going to do the right thing, man. I'm going to work for the Black people as much as I can with the NAACP and people around here with Al Sharpner. Because we get so much negativity stuff around here because people say things that they don't know what the heck they're talking about. And that's why, I do what I do. You know what I mean? But I don't want to come to New York. That's where y'all at in New York? Where y'all at? New York?
I'm in LA.
You're
I'm
in
in Flint.
Michigan?
California.
Yeah, Flint, Michigan, yeah.
Because I was going to say, I can get in my car and drive up there and we have a meeting. But I didn't know far away.
A long time.
Yeah, you know what, though? We could get together, man. Put it together. You can get my number. Jerry could give you all my information. And we get a meeting, have the whole meeting. Let's get out. Let's get somebody that's going to
let's move it forward.
Move forward with it.
Caressa, you want to say something on the way out?
I just want to say, I've been watching everything. I know people are, the thing is, negativity sells, right? So they the whole thing with, the riots and everything, they're making that be the big point of what's going on right now. But right now it's about the protests, it's about George Floyd, it's about the injustice of Black people. And I think that it's a great thing to see Black people come together the way that we've been coming together for this issue, in all 50 states. The first time it's ever happened in history. And, it's traveled all over the world. And I think that Ryan, just for me and you, I know like we got a lot to lose, and going out there and protesting is dangerous for us, especially now that, police are, shooting rubber bullets, they're throwing tear gas, they're macing people. And I just want to say, like, if I know that you probably are like me, you want to get out there and protest. And I just want to tell you to stay safe, bro. If you go out there and protest, make sure you're not by no riots, by no looting. Make sure that you go out there and you taking a stand, you having a voice, but just make the right turns, because even the peaceful protesters are getting tear gassed and, shot with rubber bullets. And we got a lot, that we got to do in the boxing world. So stay safe, bro, and stand up for what you want to stand up for. Support how you can, and just keep holding everybody accountable, and let the other people that's boxing with us know too. Like, y'all got a voice too, even if you got 24,000 followers. Like, you don't have to have 1 million followers to let people around you know what's going on. Keep everybody informed, and if they're misinformed, tell them like, this is what it's about. It's not about disrespecting the flag, and it's not about Blacks wanting to be one day better than white. It's about everybody being equal, from white, Black, Mexican, Hispanic, whatever you are. Everybody should be treated equal, and that's the message that we want to put out there. And if they really want everybody to be treated equal, nobody should be against the peaceful protest. It's just not even possible right now.
Right.
And I want to say this real quick. I'll say this one. Keep your hands up and keep that jab going. You got to teach how to jab. Get that Larry Holmes jab, girl. You'll be all right.
We got to get together, and you got to teach me the jab.
I can teach you the jab.
Stop playing with me, Larry.
Are you in New York? Where you at?
In Cali, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Ryan, Cali.
That's why I'm standing Easton. But I can teach you the jab, man. I send it over in my computer, have my wife make a film.
Stick it, Larry. Stick it.
Hey, send it to me too. I think I have a pretty good jab, but
hey, Claressa, I asked first.
Share, Ryan. That's what I'm talking about. We're talking about equality. You talking about you first? Come on, man.
Come on,
share.
If you don't think I can jab, ask Jerry. Ask Jerry, can I jab?
Hey, watching you, bro.
Great. Right, on the real, on the way out, man. What do you want to say to the people? What do you want to say on your way out? Honestly, I have so much respect for all of you guys coming on and speaking candidly, because as somebody who's in the light and on television, I know that you're told by your advisors and so on and so forth to be careful with what you say and the images and this, that, and the other. To me, it's pointless to have influence if I don't use it for the right stuff. And I really appreciate all of you guys coming out and speaking. All of you, really. You guys are
the advisor I got is my wife. She tells me what to do, and I do it. That's it.
I don't want no smoke. But Ryan, go ahead, man. You want to wrap us up?
Yeah, what I want to say to the people is, now we got everybody's attention. Now we got everybody's hearing us and the people. Now it's time to make a real change. Let's all get together. Let's organize what we're gonna do to make this change so it doesn't happen again. I know that hatred is still gonna be in the world no matter what, because that's just what it is. But through talking to everybody and God to me will heal people's hatred. In my opinion, that's what will happen. But what we can't do is set up things to protect us against that hatred. You know what I mean? So like, now it's time. Everybody heard us, and they're paying attention now. We got the mic, but now it's time to tell them what we want. We want this to be set up so this don't happen, and we want to protect ourselves against that hatred, because hatred ain't going away. But what we can do is protect ourselves from that hatred. So now,
agreed.
That's my last thing to say is, let's all organize together to create things that are going to protect us and have it written down, because ain't nobody respects anything unless it's written down. So let's make sure they write it down to protect us. There's no more just saying it. Now we got to make sure we're protected, because obviously we've said this before, but they didn't protect us then. So now we need this shit written down. And part of my language, we need it written down now. You know what I mean? This needs to be changed within. So that's my last thing I'm gonna say.
Listen, guys, I want to just say I'm a big fan of all of you, Claressa, Ryan, Larry. I mean, everybody on the board here, and I'm wishing you all great luck, and let's make change.
Yes.
Yes, agreed.
Now, all of you guys, really, thank you.
Omar, I would like to simply say the greatest inspiration for my father and the WBC was Nelson Mandela. The WBC fought for many years. The WBC banned South Africa in 1975 because of the apartheid. And we struggled and we fought very hard and successfully that was won. It was a 18-year process. And that's the inspiration of the WBC. We fight against discrimination. We fight against the abuse of power. And we fight for the unity. This is a image that you can see on the screen. You have African Americans, you have Russians, you have Thai, you have Japanese, you have Mexicans, you have whites, brown, yellow, red. There's no colors, there's nothing, there's no religions. This is the world. The boxing world is very powerful. Our champions, I'm so proud of each one of them. The way you, Claressa and Ryan, have taken your social media is an example. All I want to say is that love and compassion conquers everything. There's no need to fight and to put more fuel into a fire. We have enough with COVID-19. We have enough with the few irresponsible groups that are destroying the streets and the stores. Let's fight it the other way with a positive note. But the key is to keep a mental health clean. That's why what you said, Ryan, of educating is so important. Because if you read something and you give it as a fact that is true, then you're blinded. You have to educate yourself, understand it, and work towards finding the compassion to lead others. Positive, no negative, positive. Omar, you are the greatest. You are such an unbelievable friend, role model. Diane, right next with Larry Holmes, promised me to come to Mexico. So the next trip, we are all together here to celebrate life.
We coming to Mexico.
Absolutely, baby.
That's a beautiful
Man, Larry, you going all over the place. You going to teach jabs in LA. You teaching jabs in Flint. You going to Mexico. Man, you got a private jet.
Hey, listen.
Don't tell the secret.
I would say I'm a world champion. I'm not just an East.
Hey,
The world.
you ain't regional. You ain't regional.
Period.
Period. Point blank.
I like to give a big shout against to Coco Vest, to Terry Miller. I like to thank Anthony Gathers for the pictures. And this has been amazing. It's very, I like to live in a very positive note. I'm very motivated to hear that we all want what is right. It's one world. There's no difference. And we love you. Thank you so very much. And what we said, we are the world, we're the champions of life, we're strong but caring, we fight hard but clean, and we're respectful and praise brotherhood. So this is the world of boxing, and you are a great part of it, from the legends that are here and from the legends to be that are on the rise. I'm very proud of all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Moro.
Thank you.
Hey, God bless y'all. I'll talk to you later.
All right, everybody. Bye.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Talk to y'all soon.